Hello, my name is Maya K. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about Unexpected Season 5, Episode 5. And we pick back up right where we left off with Lily and Lawrence. Everybody is stressed out, and the day is not going as planned. They got the wrong truck, and Lawrence's friends aren't coming on the day they're supposed to come, and they're just very stressed out. Lily's stepdad comes home, and they start telling him about the disaster that's happening, and how it's going to be a long night for him since he has to get up at 4 in the morning to go to work. In the confessional, Lily's stepdad says that it's about drive and you really have to want it to really make it happen. And sometimes unfortunate things can happen that can make the process much harder, but if you want it, you can really do it and go for it. And going back to the scene, Lawrence and his friend come back from picking up the truck, and Lily was talking about how it's so small and they were getting a pretty big truck originally so they could just do everything in one move, but now that they have a smaller truck, they can't do that. Even though I think it would be harder to drive a bigger truck if you don't drive trucks, so I can understand. I don't know if they purposely got the wrong truck or if it just ended up happening that way, but it would make more sense just to get a smaller truck so it can be easier to drive. And in the confessional, Lily says that she thinks Lawrence is going to hurt himself trying to show off, but Lawrence disagrees with that because he says he can bench 350 pounds, which I do believe because he looks like a pretty bulky guy, and I do believe he can lift a lot, but it is different from when you're benching something rather than carrying furniture. They also talk about how the process is going to be more difficult since Lawrence's friends didn't show up, which Lawrence saying that's not his fault, and Lily says that no, she's not blaming him, but Lawrence doesn't want to overthink it and just wants to get it done and over with, because Lawrence already doesn't want to do the move as how complicated it has already been so far, so he just wants to get this done and over with and move on with his life, which I get that because things don't always go as planned and you just kind of have to roll with the punches and make it work. And going back to the scene, Lily's daughter starts having a meltdown, and Lily's telling her there's no time for meltdowns, we just have to get this stuff done. And as she's picking up Aaliyah says that she's peed her pants. So now Lily has to go make sure Aaliyah is okay and change her clothes. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty long day for them. Next we move on to Kylan and Jason. Kylan and Jason are going fishing with their friends Mel and Jada, and they're bringing the fake baby and they're going to see how it goes. In the confessional, Jason says that he's tired and he's embarrassed to have this fake baby around. Well, he didn't say that, but that's what Kylan said. He's embarrassed to have to carry the fake baby around. They also talk about how they're trying to spend as much time with friends since when they have the baby, they can't really go out and spend time with their friends, and the only way they can spend time with their friends is if their friends were to come to them. And going back to the scene while they're in the car driving to Jason's family boathouse, their friend Jada talks about how she had to do a class for the baby and how the baby would not keep quiet no matter what she did, and Kylan agrees. And in the confessional, Jason talks about how Kylan said that she wanted to swing the baby at the wall or something like that, and Kylan says that she never said that, and that's what Jason said. And I really don't know what to believe, because I do believe it can get you very frustrated to the point where you would want to throw it at the wall, but I can also believe Jason said something like that as well, since he doesn't want to do this and he thinks he has it all down pat. Going back to the scene when they get to Jason's family boathouse, the baby starts crying and Jason is already irritated. In the confessional, Kylan says that she feels like she's going to do everything when the baby gets here since Jason has a help with the fake baby, and Jason disagrees with that because it's just a fake baby and he's not going to act like that once the real child gets here, even though I do understand how Kylan feels about him and how he's going to act when the baby gets here, but things can change once you do have a bond with a child. But then also, displaying your behavior ahead of time does show what you're going to act like in the future. Going back to the scene, Kylan finally gets the baby to stop crying, and Jason is ready to go fishing, and he wants Kylan just to put the baby in the chair. But Kylan wants to take the baby with them, and she's treating the fake baby like a real child, which I do think that shows like her efforts to try to figure out what she's gonna have to do ahead of time. But I don't think Jason really understands that, and he thinks it's just going to be easy peasy and he's just gonna automatically figure it out. Then in the confessional, Kylan talks about how their relationship has not always been like this, and they only got like this when she became around 6 months pregnant, when they start arguing and going back and forth, which I believe that, and that makes a lot more sense, because I refuse to believe Jason was just this jerk off rip and that just made her fall head over heels for him. I definitely do think there was a period where he treated her good and he gave her space and he really cared about her, but since the pregnancy came along, it changed the nature of the relationship. But Jason feels they don't get along because they were raised two different ways, and they argue because they don't agree on how they want to raise their child. And Kylan disagrees with that, and she doesn't think that's the case, and she kind of just ignores it and keeps quiet so it doesn't create an argument. And she actually says that she doesn't want to get him upset or make an issue, and Jason says it's all about him doing something and like she never does anything wrong. But Jason is the main problem. I hate to say that because it takes two people to make a relationship, and two people can make it or break it. But then also, Kylan has yet to display anything that would make her seem like she's the one ruining the relationship. But also on top of that, I do think Kylan is afraid of Jason and afraid he may start physically not harming her, but get physical, like throwing stuff and punching walls. Because there is a post on a TLC T page, and he did a TikTok, or Kylan did a TikTok, and there is a hole in the back of the wall, and someone in the comments asked about it, and Jason ended up saying he has anger issues. So that's why I believe that, and I do believe it happens more often than they would like it to happen, or well, no one wants anyone punching walls, but that should also never be the nature of the relationship. Next, we move on to Emerson and Mason. Emerson and her mom in her room packing stuff for the baby and the hospital bag. And they start talking about how Emerson is getting induced, which induced just means that they're gonna start getting her contractions ready through some type of medicine, and it's not gonna just naturally happen. And Emerson made that decision when she went to her doctor's appointment alone. And in the confessional, Emerson's mom doesn't agree with that decision, and then if she would have went to the doctor's appointment, she would have made a completely different decision or swayed Emerson in the opposite way. But while Emerson is in the confessional by herself, she says that anytime she makes a decision of her own because her mom wants her to and wants her to be more independent, she never agrees with the decision, and that's really annoying because you can't have those two things in the same world. I think it was a decision for Emerson to make because it is her body and she is the one who does have to give birth to a child, and I can understand her mom not wanting anything to happen to her since she has been through pregnancy and labor, and she knows all the don'ts and do's and all of that. But then also, having a child in you for 9 months is a pretty long time, and I would want to get induced as well because I would be done with just being pregnant. And in the confessional with Emerson and Erica talks about how she wants to be there while Emerson is in labor, but I don't think she can be because of COVID restrictions, and they're only allowing one person to be with you while you're in labor. And of course, Emerson is going to want Mason there because that is the father of her child and her boyfriend. Erica knows Mason wants to support her, but she's not sure if he knows how to support her. She does believe the doctors and nurses will give him tips and help him out. Then going back to the scene, while they're talking, Emerson brings up how she wants Mason to sleep in the room with her, but Erica's mom doesn't want her to do that because she believes they're still children and they're still in high school and they still need to be treated as such. And Emerson says that she's technically an adult, but Erica says the adults pay their own bills and live on their own and handle adult business, which Emerson is not doing at the moment because she's of course still a teenager. Which I get where Erica is coming from, but they also are about to have an adult responsibility of having a child. So even if she doesn't want that to happen, you also just have to adjust to the situation and make something work. And I know Mason is supposed to sleep on the couch, but maybe she can compromise even a little bit more and let him be in the room with her, just have the door open or something like that to where they both can be happy in the same house. Then they go to the confessional with Emerson, and she says that her mom and her are both stubborn, and like her mom could be a lawyer. Also how her mom always has the last say in everything, and how she doesn't want that to happen this time, and this is something she's really gonna try fighting for so she can have Mason in the same bed with her. Which I don't know if this is a battle I would fight, because I think her mom is very strict, so I think this is also very lenient for Erica, so I think she would definitely be pushing it by trying to get Mason in the room with her. Next, we move back around to Lily and Lawrence. Lily and Lawrence get into a fight about having Aaliyah's bed in their room, but they did agree on having an air mattress, but not a whole bed and headboard and all that stuff in their room, because LJ's crib is already going to be in their room, so it wouldn't make any sense to put Aaliyah's bed in their room as well. On top of that, Lawrence wants a really big bed in the room. Also, Lawrence's reasoning for not wanting Aaliyah's bed in the room is she already sleeps in her own room, so it wouldn't make any sense to put her bed in there now and create bad habits. But Lily wants the bed in their room so she can get more sleep. So I'm not exactly sure how she would get less sleep by Aaliyah sleeping in her own room, but I guess Aaliyah likes to get up in the middle of the night or something of that sort, so it'd make it easier for her if she was just next to her the whole night. Like I said ahead of time, they did agree on an air mattress, but Lily doesn't want Aaliyah on the air mattress, so it can cause long-term issues with your neck and your back and stuff like that. And they kind of just fight about that the whole scene, and it's just one big mess, and everyone is just irritated and done with the whole situation. Next, we move on to Tiara, Tyra, and Taylor, and this is again where a segment where all three of them are in it. Tiara and Taylor are taking their daughters Adeline and Ella to the park because Tiara is going back to Maryland soon, and she wants them to spend as much time with each other as they can. And also because once Tiara has baby Ainsley, it's going to be harder for her to travel back and forth between Maryland and Kentucky with a toddler and a baby. It's also sad for Adeline, Ella, and Layla since they love being around each other. And Tyra was supposed to come to the park with them, but she ghosted them, and Taylor said that she texted her an hour ago and she said she was gonna go pick Layla up and get her ready, and that was the last thing she heard from her, and they tried calling her but she sends them straight to voicemail. Taylor feels like it's kind of a jerk move on them just to ghost them and not wanting to spend time with them and not want to go out with them or do anything with the kids. And Taylor understands that people have stuff going on with their lives, and you know, Tara's world doesn't revolve around her family, but also she could send a quick text, hey, I can't make it, or something like that, just not completely ghost them. And Tiara says that it could have something to do with Alex being back in town and her trying to see what's going on with him. And what was in the previous episodes, they talked about how Alex went to Texas to go cheat on Tyra with his mistress or girlfriend, whatever you want to call her. And Tyra still wants to hold on to the relationship, so she may be too entertained with Alex to spend time with her family. And in the confessional, Taylor talks about how she's not a fan of Tyra and Alex's relationships because he's cheated on her and he just doesn't treat her right, and she would never go through that for 8 years, which has me believing that he's probably cheated her more than just the 1 or 2 times that we know about. It's probably been going on for longer than that. They even tried calling Tyra and Tiara's mom to see if she knows what's going on with her, and she doesn't. But going on to the different scene, Tyra's at a restaurant and she's meeting up with Alex to talk about the situation going on with him and his new girlfriend. And she uses air quotations, which I believe she does that because she's in denial that Alex has another girlfriend. So I'm not exactly sure what the air quotations were about. Tyra says that it's complicated because they're just not boyfriend and girlfriend, they're mother and father, and she just wants to do what's best for Layla because Layla is the biggest daddy girl. She always wants him to be around. She wants Alex to hold her. Like, she will let Alex hold her until he puts her down. Tyra even shows this cute video of Layla begging for her dad and just wanting to see him and be around him. And going back to the scene, Alex comes to the restaurant and Tyra asks what was your intentions going down to Texas, and Alex says it was just an impulse decision. But Tyra doesn't believe that, and neither do I, because that's not really an impulse decision to leave your girlfriend and your kid to go see some random girl in Texas. Texas. And Tara asks what is the relationship status with them, and Alex says it's really not anything. It was just kind of like a one-time thing, which that is obviously a lie, but Tara seems to be believing it. And in the confessional with both of them sitting, they talk about how the girl is allegedly pregnant, and the producers ask when did she tell him that she was pregnant, and Alex says he can't remember when she told him. He says that was his reasoning for going down there, and I guess this had been the second time he went down there and not the first, so I'm not exactly sure why he said it was an impulse decision. But anyways, and he says that he eventually came to his senses and realized that she wasn't pregnant and that she was lying. But this is a spoiler alert, so if you do not want to hear spoilers, please skip ahead. But the girl actually already gave birth to the baby. Her name's Hannah. I'm going to refer to her as Hannah. So if you see me refer to Hannah, I'm talking about his girlfriend or mistress or whatever. She had a baby boy on March 8th, which is ironically Layla's birthday as well. And if you go find one of the unexpected Instagram tea pages, it's posted, and I will try to show you the post. But yeah, the girl had the baby. The baby's real. And I guess at the time, Alex was not completely sure if she was pregnant, but there's actually like a document with Alex's legal name and as well his other girlfriend's legal name on it that shows that they've had a child. It's not the birth certificate, but it's like some document you have to sign in Texas when you're an unmarried couple. But we're just going to play along and act like we do not know that information. But back to the confessional, Tara says that he could have at least made her pee on a stick in front of him to see if she was really pregnant at the bare minimum. But I guess he didn't do that, even though that would have literally just ended this whole situation and would have gave them an answer. But I guess he was not thinking. And in that scene again, Tara asks Alex, do they want the same thing? And Alex says yes, but Tara wants Alex to treat her good and how he used to, and wants him to treat her like he wants to be with her and he wants a family. And Alex says that's what he plans on doing that. But in the confessional, Tara says that she feels stupid for going back to Alex, but she just wants a perfect family, wants a good relationship with Alex, and wants him to treat her like how she should be treated. But Alex has already showed her what he is and what he plans on doing, and I feel like his actions are speaking much louder than his words, especially in present day, because as we can see, the girl has had the baby. Now, we have not seen the baby's face, let me say that. She's posted a picture of the baby, but like with a little sticker over it that you put on Instagram. So I'm not completely sure what's going on, but I think he plans on playing family with both of them and hope it works out in his favor, but it's not looking like it's going to. And I wish Tara just had a little bit of pride and confidence about herself and realized that Alex is no good for her anymore and that it's time just to throw the relationship away. I can understand that having a child together can make things more complicated, but just because y'all have a child together doesn't mean the relationship has to work. I'm not saying end the relationship at one minor inconvenience, but I'm also saying cheating is a pretty big thing, and I think it's worth ending a relationship. Next, we move back around to Lily and Lawrence. Lily has anxiety and she just wants this to be over with. And Lawrence does as well. So he takes her to the bathroom to have a conversation, and he's explaining to Lily how he's tired and how he just doesn't feel like doing this anymore, how he's just done with the situation. Lily's trying to explain to him that they should just get this done so they can be on their own space and live life how they want to live. But Lawrence also wants Lily to be in his shoes so she can understand, like, this is really difficult for me having to move all this stuff. It's like 9 o'clock at night and I'm tired. I can understand how both of them feel, but in my opinion, this was just a terrible plan to pack at night while everyone is tired and got off from work, and it just wasn't a good plan. And I think it would have went a lot smoother if they did this in the daytime, maybe hired some movers or something of that sort to make it go smoother. Maybe have the kids go stay with a family member or something like that for the day, or something just so the situation wouldn't be so tense and difficult. And next we move on to Kylan and Jason. We are at Michael's and Maria's house, and Michael has these toy cars that he wants to give to Xavier and carry on to his grandchild so he can use them, play with them, or whatever, which I think is so sweet. But Michael is also doing this because he has stage 3, almost stage 4 kidney disease, and the doctors only gave him a couple of years 6 months ago. And he's been getting distracted though because he misses Kylan and he wants her to visit more, and he feels like Jason is purposely keeping her away from them, and her mom agrees. Then there's a confessional scene with Kylan and Jason, and Kylan says that it's kind of sad for her parents since she's their only daughter. She went from always being around, from hardly being around. Then Jason says that why would that be a sad thing for her parents? Her parents should be proud that she's moving on and moving out. Even though I don't think it's nothing to be proud of to watch your child move into someone else's house and just becomes someone else's burden. It's not like they moved in on their own. She literally just moved into Jason's house and just became another person sitting there. Like, I don't mean it like she's a burden, like she's a problem, but she also doesn't really like give them anything. I'm not saying she doesn't do stuff around there, but it's not like she's moving in to be a help to them. She's moving in so her and Jason can raise their child together, which I'm pretty sure she only moved in because Jason was being stubborn and wasn't going to be willing to come over to her parents' house to, be with the baby and her. But going back to the scene with her parents, they try calling Kylan, but she doesn't answer. But then they say Kylan and Jason share a phone, but I'm not sure why they share a phone because that's kind of weird. Because didn't Kylan have her own phone before living with Jason? And if she doesn't, can they not get a phone for her of some sort? In the confessional, Kylan's mom says that she feels like she's kind of being a prisoner. She didn't mean it that way. She just means she feels like Jason is keeping Kylan away on purpose or trying to sway her not to go over her parents' house. And her dad says that could probably cause a problem and probably will. But he also says that he's manipulating her and controlling her mentally. And they're starting to get scared since the baby is almost here. Which I can understand why they would feel that way since Kylan never comes over and she never just wants to be around them. Even though she does, but Jason kind of makes her feel bad for wanting to be around her parents. And that's kind of the manipulating part. But hopefully things get better and they change for the better good. Lastly, we move on to Tiara, Taylor, and Tyra. And Taylor and Tiara are at the park with their kids, and they're talking about how they wish Tyra would have come so the kids could spend time with each other, and how Tiara feels like she can't depend on Tyra when she's supposed to be there for her. And in the confessional with Tyra and Tiara, Tiara talks about how she feels like Tyra's being selfish for not bringing Layla to play and hang out, because this also happened last time, so she feels like she doesn't stay on her word. And still in the confessional, Tiara talks about how she feels like once she gets entertained with Alex, she really doesn't care about her family anymore. And Tyra gets frustrated and walks out and starts calling Tiara out of her name, and she changes clothes. So I guess meaning that she's done with the confessional and she's leaving. But also before she got up, she was also saying she didn't feel well. So that's maybe also why she changed clothes and got more comfortable. And then Tiara starts not to feel well, and she feels very lightheaded and dizzy, and she knows it's because of low iron. And she texts her doctor asking if she should go to the ER, but the doctor doesn't respond yet. And she calls her mom, and her mom says, "We might just have to take you." And that was the end of the episode. It was a good episode. I give it a 9 out of 10.